Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and get started. Some folks may join us as we move along. That's perfectly fine. But we're going to go ahead and get started. I would encourage our guests to go ahead and ask questions. We really want you to ask questions, get the information that you would like to have today as a result of this virtual open house. And again, welcome. This is the first time we've had the opportunity to do a virtual open house, thanks to COVID-19. Usually this is an in-person thing, which we much prefer, but we have what we have, okay? So again, welcome. You're in the Air Force Junior ROTC virtual open house. I would like to point out the young man front and center at the building is Jared Pashotti, an alumni of our program. He is currently with the Ohio National Guard at Camp Garfield and is also a local law enforcement officer full-time. So you can do military and do other things as well. So this slide just covers what CTE is. CTE is an abbreviation for Career Technical Education. We are Air Force Junior ROTC. We're a little bit different than if you have any experience with AFJ ROTC at all or Junior ROTC at all. We're a little bit different because we are a Career Tech Education JROTC. We are under the Ohio Career Tech Education process. We're under transportation, aviation career fields, which means we study airplanes and things that fly. Makes sense because we're Air Force, right? So and what this slide is telling us, students that attend CTE students or high schools have a higher graduation rate. They are learning applicable skills for the workforce, the real world skills for the workforce compared to students that are just sitting in a classroom at a traditional high school. And we are preparing our students for future careers. And as we go through our presentation tonight, you're going to see how we in JROTC are going to do all those kinds of things for you as a student in our program. I would like to point out that who we have here tonight, we have Mr. Corey Pate, who is one of our TCTC science teachers. So if you have any questions regarding academics or what academics look like at TCTC, Mr. Pate is online with us. He is also monitoring our chat. So if you're a little bit screen shy, feel free to jump into the chat and ask a question on the chat, and we'll get it answered for you. We also have Chief Warrant Officer Lindsay Keller Walker joining us from Fort Riley, Kansas. She is an Army helicopter pilot and an alumni of our program. She'll talk to you in a little bit. Make sure you ask her any questions, especially those of you who are looking to become pilots or thinking about it as a potential career path. Great opportunity for you to ask her questions. We also have current students Daniel Rosser and Taylor Rudolphi to talk to you about what life is like in the JROTC program. So if you really want to know what the heck goes on from a student perspective, you're going to ask Daniel or Taylor, and they will give you their perspective. We also have Master Sergeant Kelly Kibbe. She's one of the instructors here at the TCTC and the JROTC program. And I'm Lieutenant Colonel Retired John Miller. I'm the other instructor here, and I'll be the one yapping at you through most of this presentation. So what are we going to get? If you come to JROTC, what do you get? One, leadership skills. Because people typically equate military style programs with leadership. And we definitely don't want to disappoint. You are going to get leadership experience. That's what we're all about. We're preparing you for life after high school, whether you choose to go the military or not go the military. We are preparing you with leadership skills. And we do that through a variety of ways, of different activities. You'll see some of those activities in pictures as we move through the presentation. You're going to practice your communication skills. I know many people in high school, I was one of them. I would much rather go to the dentist and get a root canal without anesthesia than talk to a group. But we're going to walk you through that process. We're going to help you grow as a person so that you can communicate not with just your class, but with others as well. We're going to help you develop organizational and project planning skills. And we do that through real world. We're not just going to tabletop exercise things. You're going to plan and execute projects like our TCTC Veterans Day ceremonies, the Laying of the Roses program, community service events that we go out and we help our community service partners and organizations. Cadets plan and organize all those activities. Our military balls, our overnight plant trips. You plan, you organize those, okay? We're also going to get you aviation field experiences. You're going to learn about aviation in the classroom. We're going to study aviation. We're going to do hands-on aviation things in the classroom, but then we're going to get you out into the field. Last year, we were able to fly our class in C-130, compliments of the 910th Airlift Wing. So you got to fly in a military aircraft. It was kind of fun. The students whose grades weren't very good got to stand out in the parking lot and we waved as the airplane went over. You're also going to get your drone certification. You're going to get your Part 107 license. You're also going to have an opportunity to fly with the Civil Air Patrol for an orientation flight in a Cessna 182. Great experience. It's a great way to figure out if you really do enjoy flying. It's going to give you a better understanding of what you're learning in the classroom. To accelerate your success, we're involved in Skills USA, a career technical student organization. We've sent students to the state competitions as well as regional competitions. For the last several years, we've also had regional officers as part of Skills USA. That is something that you don't have to do. It's just going to be something that, depending on what pathway you want to pursue after high school, something you want to consider getting involved in. We're going to get you your CPR first aid certification as well. We're going to do that through hands-on. You're going to get your card. I think we do healthcare provider CPR first aid certification. You're going to get your FAA Part 107 drone certificate, provided that you study. That allows you to fly a drone to make money. You can fly a drone as a hobby without the certificate, but if you want to make any money, and there's plenty of money to be made, and it's very much a growth industry, the Part 107 certificate is a requirement. We also have statewide college credit agreements through Kent State, YSU, Eastern Gateway, and then through Air Force Junior ROTC, we have agreements with other colleges around the country as well. The last column here, and I'm not going to talk to that too much, you can actually read that. That's what the requirements are to be ready for TCTC. The only thing that I would ask you, if you're doing online learning, make sure that you are attending your classes. Make sure that you're passing your classes, whether you're online or in person, because you can't be no more than 2 credits deficient, because TCTC doesn't have study halls. You're only here 6 hours a day. We don't have time for study halls, so there's no room in your schedule for makeup courses. When you come to our program, you will be joining an award-winning Air Force Junior ROTC program. We've won the Silver Star Community Service with Excellence Award, which is reserved for the top 2% of Air Force Junior ROTC programs worldwide. We've also earned the Community Service with Excellence Award, the Distinguished Unit with Merit Award several times, the Distinguished Unit Award, the VFW Auxiliary Youth Activities Award, as well as certificates of appreciation from state and local veterans organization chapters. And we get those because we spend a lot of time in community service, with our focus in community service with helping veterans groups. And we'll talk a little bit about those more as we move through the slideshow. This is our career tree. This is our career pathways. We start out at the roots. Academics or experiences, and those are things that we try to really emphasize, experiences outside the classroom. The passion for what you're doing, and Chief Warrant Officer Walker will talk to you a little bit about her passion for aviation and how that's able to carry her through to where she is. And then the professional skills that we're really going to work with you on. We move up the tree, we have our entry-level careers. If you're choosing to go to the military, don't know you whether or not you are or not. We'll talk about that. You can ask questions about it. But if you go to the military, everybody starts out at entry level. For the military entry level, you are a basic trainee, whether it's Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard. Everybody goes through basic training. Then everybody in the military goes on to a technical career. You're going to go to some sort of technical education, some sort of what we would consider a vocational education program in the military. You're going to go to that, whether or not you're going to go be a computer network specialist, an aircraft maintainer, vehicle maintainer, get into the medical industry or medical career paths, cybersecurity, public affairs, firemen, special ops, or work or fly unmanned aerial vehicles. You have to go to a military school to do those. Doesn't matter what your civilian experience in those career paths are, the military sends you to school regardless. So even if I have worked on vehicles for a long time, guess what? I'm still going to vehicle maintenance school because the military has a way to do it. They want everybody to be trained on their way to do it. So those the pathways those are just some examples. The military has, the Air Force alone has 180 some different career specialties that you can choose from. We're not going to tell you which ones to do. We can advise you, but the ones you choose that's your choice. That's your passion. What is it that you want to do? And then the top branches of the tree are the specialties that typically require a bachelor's degree or higher. Chief Warrant Officer Walker explained to me that no, the Army does not in fact require a bachelor's degree, and she'll talk to you a little bit about that as we go along. But other Air Force does require, actually they're shifting away from that for UAS pilots. They are actually looking at enlisted pilots as well. But if you want to fly in the seat as an Air Force pilot, they're still requiring bachelor's degrees. Nurses, doctors, dentists, accountants, engineers, pretty much any job that you can think of in the civilian world, the military has, whether it be Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Any questions on this slide before I move along? Or any of the other things we've talked about thus far? No questions? So some of the things we do, we are preparing you for student success. We currently have 4 students on full ride ROTC scholarships. That means they're getting all their tuition paid. They're getting room and board. They're getting their books paid. And they are also getting a living stipend. I forget what the dollar amount is, a couple $100 a month just to be a college student. Because if you have an ROTC scholarship, they want you to be focused on being a student, not having to worry about having to go get a part-time job. Roughly 40% of our grads go on to serve in the military. Most of them choose to enlist for various reasons. Maybe they're not ready for college right away. They just want to go ahead and get started on a military career, which is perfectly fine. The important thing is if you join Air Force Junior ROTC, there's no requirement for you to join the military. We're not going to have a bus snag you after graduation and haul you off to basic training. It's a career path that we offer. And as you'll see, there are benefits to being in the program if you choose to join the military. But we have students out who have been in our program, law enforcement, local police, all over the place, YSU police. We have Hubbard, Champion, Newton Falls, a couple on the State Highway Patrol. So that's a career pathway as well. We have managers at retail stores. We have managers in industry. We have people working in industry. So we're going to give you skills to help you become successful, whatever career path you choose to follow. As you can see there, I put down the community service hours. We do a lot of community service, at least we did pre-COVID. What we do is we try to reach out to our community because there's so much that can be learned through community service. As I said, you'll learn because you're planning it, you're organizing it, you're making sure we have whatever equipment we need to conduct it, making sure we have the right people, making the contacts. Those are all things that the cadets do as part of organizing our community service events. The picture here is one of our community service efforts. We actually did, for years, we did a color guard at the Special Olympics at Girard High School Stadium, Arrowhead Stadium. And that's always something the students really enjoy doing. In terms of employment opportunities, you're going to get a Air Force certificate of training. That's the really important thing that you're going to earn for advanced grade placement in all branches of the military. For example, in the Air Force, you graduate from our program, you earn that certificate. You earn E3, which is over $3,000 more per year, your first year in the military. It also means you have more stripes, which means you get more responsibility as well. So you're set up very well if you're planning on joining the military. We also get special consideration for college ROTC, because when your college ROTC is looking for your leadership experience, because you're in ROTC, you are picking up leadership experience. They're looking, are you involved in community service? If you're in ROTC, you're doing community service. So you're picking up a lot of the things that college ROTC is looking for in its applicants, and for those students are looking to, for which they're looking to award scholarships. We have students in all different career fields outside of the military. In the military, we have people literally all over the world. We have people on ships. We have engineers. We have one graduate who went to ROTC. His main focus in the Air Force is working on a satellite lens. That's his entire life, is focusing on the lens of the specific satellite and making it as clear as possible so we can collect the data that we need. We do spend a large emphasis on soft skills. I did confirm with my daughter-in-law that she actually leads an HR team out of Charlotte that is 80 people strong. And soft skills are definitely things they look for when they're interviewing applicants. And by soft skills and interpersonal skills, we mean communication skills, teamwork, self-discipline. Can you get the work on time? Do we have to motivate you to actually work, or are you a self-starter? So those are the skills that we're working and really emphasizing with you as you go through our program, because we want you to be successful. So this is where Chief Warrant Officer Walker steps in, and she's going to talk to you. And again, please, I would encourage you to ask her some questions, because you may not get another opportunity to speak with a pilot in a situation like this where you can just freely ask questions. So Chief Warrant Officer Walker, over to you, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chief Warrant Officer 2 Lindsay Walker, and I'm currently stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas as a Black Hawk pilot in the Army. I graduated from TCTC and Bristol in 2011. I've been in the Army for 6.5 years now. I have been stationed at Hawaii, Alabama, and now Kansas. I spent 9 months in Romania, and next year I'll be spending another 9 months in Latvia. Some of the skills that I've taken from Air Force JROTC throughout my career so far is the basic aviation knowledge is what started me passing my test to even apply to become an aviator. And then obviously time management and self-discipline is something I use on a daily basis. And my favorite thing that I took from the class is goal creating. You'll go through a class where they teach you how to make goals in your life that are actually achievable. That way you meet your goals and want to make more goals and continue to grow as a person. And as Colonel had mentioned, there is no degree for the Army. So as soon as you graduate, you can put in an application and join the Army and start flying by the time you're 19 if you choose to. I did enlist originally, and I was in college and tried the ROTC route as well. So I have a lot of different experiences, and I can answer any questions you have about any different route in the Army itself.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
What if necessarily you don't want to be a pilot, but do you think that ROTC is so for me per se, I'm interested in being a medic in the Army. Would ROTC still be a good option even though I don't necessarily want to fly?
Absolutely. You're going to learn all the basics to being in the military itself. I first enlisted as human resource specialist, so I was using a lot of the skills that I learned in ROTC prior. Flying is just part of their focus because it's Air Force. It's a little bit bigger focus than some things, but you're going to learn many other skills to take with you throughout college or the Army, sorry. But medic as well, you do have the opportunity where you can apply to be a flight medic and fly in the Blackhawks with us to take care of people that way. It's not a requirement by any means. It's something you have to apply for and want. And it's not something you start out doing. So it could lead you to that as a future goal if you choose to. Did I answer your question okay?
Yeah, thank you.
What other questions do we have? You can ask more than one if you choose to. That's not a problem. No other ones? All right, Chief Warrant Officer Walker's going to stay with us for a little bit. So if you think of more questions, again, if you're screen shy, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. But at the end, we'll have an opportunity for questions as well. Some other student testimonials, I'll let you read those. These are from two of our students who are on full ride scholarships. The picture here is when we're back in the fixed base operator location after one of our flights in the Cessna 182 with Civil Air Patrol. And this is from one of our competitions, I think as a Pine Richland High School maybe. But that's one of the ways we help you develop leadership, teamwork, those type of things is through different competitions that you'll get a chance to experience. So again, as talking about experiences, we try to do a lot of things outside the classroom. Obviously with COVID, we are not normal, but when we get back to normal, we'll be back to doing these kind of things. This photo was taken after Veterans Stand Down Day at the Salvation Army in Warren. Veterans Stand Down Day is where different organizations and agencies come together to help homeless and disadvantaged veterans. We were there to help veterans carry things, to distribute food, distribute clothing, whatever they needed us to do. That was part of what we did at Stand Down Day. Very rewarding experience. This is from the photo in the top center is our last trip to Washington, D.C. We spent 4 days and 3 nights in Washington, D.C., toward the Capitol, toward the White House, the aviation museums, national monuments, other museums, those type of things. So hopefully once COVID lifts, we can put that back on the schedule. As you can see, we like to go around Christmas. You see the wreaths on the White House because it's much less crowded. We've tried the springtime thing and it's just wall-to-wall people. So we'd prefer to go to Washington, D.C. right before Christmas. It's a lot of walking. It can get a little chilly, but we get to see and do everything that we want to do. This is part of what is the top right is part of our Raider Challenge competition. It's one of several competitions we do each year that has an emphasis on physical fitness and teamwork. This one, that's one of the last ones we had the opportunity to do before COVID hit. We do have 2 of those on the schedule for springtime if we're allowed to participate in them. Some of them are down around the Columbus area. And then we also have what's called a Commando Challenge that's put on by the Edinburgh Army ROTC program in Pennsylvania. That's about 8 hours of constant physical fitness, running, dragging things, pushing things, climbing over things, climbing under things, hauling logs, hauling tires, hauling each other. So it's a very grueling experience. Mass Sergeant and I like it because it makes for a really quiet bus ride home. The bottom left is the laying of the roses ceremony, which is in the Warren Veterans Park on POW MIA Day every year. Unfortunately, this year that was another victim of COVID, but hopefully by next year we're back to doing that. That's one of those things where you're getting the leadership experience. Some of you will be getting the communication experience because you'll be the master of ceremonies for the event that's attended by the mayors, the county commissioner. Occasionally, Congressman Ryan is there, as well as other civilian guests. The center picture is the little C, the Cessna 182, that you'll have an opportunity to fly in, hopefully, to get your orientation flight experience. The nice thing about that is you go up. If you like it, as Chief Warrant Officer Walker will tell you, it can become addicting. But we've also had people go up and say, you know what, I really liked it, but it's not for me. They start to get a little bit air sick or something like that. And okay, we've flown 30 some, maybe 40 some people. Only one person's gotten sick so far, actually physically sick. So we're not doing too bad. The bottom left, bottom right picture is our last trip to Cincinnati. We go to the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, a very moving museum there on the waterfront in Cincinnati. And then we hit up that evening and spend the next day at Dayton. So those are the things that we'll get back to once we get the all clear from the governor and our schools to get back on the road and get back involved. If you want to see a little bit more of what we do, feel free to check our website. It's Cadet Managed. Cadet Austin Beardsley has put this together, maintains it for us, talks a lot about the program, our instructors, our calendar events, achievements. You can pick up a lot of different information on there. So feel free to log on there, or not even log, just click the link, and then you can peruse the website. The application priority deadline, because we do fill up, is January 15th, Friday, January 15th. To log on or to apply, go to TCTC Home, click high school, and if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the apply box down there, so you can actually apply to TCTC online, no paper applications involved. Okay? So as we wrap up, I'll turn it over to Master Sergeant Kibbe if she has any comments.
I do. I had to find that unmute button, sir. So who do we have here? Riley and Kiana, it looks like. Excellent. So thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you spending some time with us. In a couple things for y'all. As Riley kind of pointed out, she might not really care about flying, and that's okay. Not everybody comes to the Air Force Junior ROTC program at our building to fly. There's a lot of different opportunities, as Chief Warrant Officer Walker said, just to get a real good basic foundation for your success in anything that you might go on to do. So I want to make sure you keep that in the back of your heads. This session, or one of the sessions we've had today, will be posted on the TCTC home page under the Air Force ROTC site, in case there was something in it you didn't quite catch and you want to go back and look at it again. So I wanted to let you know that. And the last thing, two things I guess I want you to take away is you might be stepping outside your comfort zone a little bit to come to the TCTC, and that's okay. You know, a journey of 1,000 steps, 1,000 miles, I'm sorry, begins with a single step. So you got to start somewhere, right? So jump on in. And lastly, you talk to many successful people, they will tell you that they had to work very hard to get where they're at. So be willing for success in your lifetime to work hard. Nothing really gets handed to you easily. You're going to have to work hard for it. So whichever path you choose to go, I'd like to keep that in mind as well. That's all I have, sir.
Oh, thank you. So again, thank you for attending our very first virtual open house night. I know you may get some questions that pop up later. Feel free to email us. That's the best way to contact us. john.miller@tctchome.com or kelly.kibbe@tctc.home.com. That's EY on both Kelly and Kibbe. Feel free to drop us a line if you really feel the urge to call. There's our phone number. As of now, we come into the building. That could change at any moment. As we all know, we have to be extremely flexible in this environment. So if you have questions for us, feel free, drop us an email and we'll get back to you. The picture you see here was one of our aviation field experiences. This is post-flight of our C-130 orientation flight through the 910th Airlift Wing. Great experience. I went a whole bunch of years in the Air Force, never had a chance to fly in a C-130 until I got to JRTC. So some of these students you see in this picture, that was their first and only time to get to fly in a C-130. So there's sometimes in life you get one chance for an experience, you don't want to miss out on it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and ask one more time. Does anybody have any questions? As a reminder, we have Mr. Pate for academic questions. We have Daniel and Taylor for student questions, as well as Master Sergeant Kibbe, myself, and Chief Warrant Officer Walker here to handle your questions.